Fear is growing in the United States, not about the ongoing war, but about the one just starting. American admirals warn their naval power is weakening. While warnings sound in Washington, something unseen since World War II is emerging in Chinese shipyards. New destroyers, submarines, and aircraft carriers are launching nearly every month. China is becoming what the United States was during its rise. For the first time since World War II, America is in the role Japan once held, strong yet surrounded by a growing power. Welcome to the Beyond Borders channel, where we uncover hidden connections, power plays, and conflicts that shape our world. China is taking control of the sea. What seemed impossible not long ago is now becoming reality. Beijing is creating the world's largest navy, shifting a century-old balance of power. What was once a regional fleet has become a global power, with more ships than the United States and growing faster than the West can respond. In this video, we'll take a look at how the Chinese Navy has become the driving force of a new era. We'll show the types and number of ships China is building. We'll also cover why Washington is worried about its pace and what the recent military parade meant, where Beijing revealed a weapon able to destroy American aircraft carriers. And most importantly, what this shift means for the future of power on the oceans. Because what's happening in Chinese shipyards is unprecedented in modern history. The return of a great fleet. The name itself sounds like a symbol, and that's exactly what it is. 6 centuries ago, China sent huge fleets to sea under the command of Admiral Zheng He. His ships, the world's largest, crossed the Indian Ocean to Africa, when Europeans only dreamed of overseas expeditions. After his death, the emperor decided the sea was unworthy of the Middle Kingdom's interest. The fleets were burned, the archives destroyed, and China closed itself off for centuries. Today, that story is repeating itself, only on a much larger scale. Just 20 years ago, the Chinese Navy fit into the category of regional powers. Coastal defense, some frigates, old subs, nothing impressive. But what started as a modernization program turned into something much bigger, into the systematic transformation of China into a naval superpower. Today, the Chinese Navy has more warships than the United States. A United States Congress report says that's over 370 vessels, with construction speeding up. By 2030, Beijing could have a fleet of more than 450 warships. That means China is growing faster than the United States can respond. It's more than numbers. Each new ship class is stronger, quieter, and better armed. Type 055 destroyers are comparable in silhouette and armament to the American Arleigh Burke class. Modern frigates, amphibious assault ships, and support vessels are produced in series that would take decades to finish in the United States. Once patrolling just dozens of kilometers offshore, the fleet is now a true blue water force, able to operate thousands of kilometers from home. China no longer has just a navy for defending its own territory. It has a naval force entering the Indian Ocean, Pacific, and African shores. Naval power has always decided global rulers. A navy makes a country a true superpower. Only those who can control the oceans can project their power anywhere. Deploy armies, secure trade routes, and intervene globally. Control of the seas distinguishes a regional power from an empire, and returning to the ocean is shifting the balance of power. While the United States relies on allies, China builds ships. As America debates budgets, China takes action. The world now sees that a new maritime hegemon is no longer just possible, but real. But what does this power look like in practice? What ships does China have? How fast are they growing? And why are they now a threat Washington can't ignore? Chinese power in numbers. Today, China has the largest navy in the world, with more than 370 warships, while the United States has around 290. It's not just a number. Behind every ship lies a factory, a workforce, and a state's resolve to turn the sea from a boundary into a pathway. The American fleet has 11 nuclear aircraft carriers of the Nimitz and Ford classes, a level that no other country even comes close to. 3 aircraft carriers form the backbone of the Chinese fleet. Liaoning, the first, was a Soviet ship being built in Ukraine that China purchased and upgraded. The second Shandong is its domestic copy. the first aircraft carrier built in China. Fujian marks a major technological advancement. It is a completely original design with electromagnetic catapults, similar to those used on American Ford-class supercarriers. In addition to the 3 ships in operation, China is building a 4th aircraft carrier of the Type 004 class, which is expected to be a significant technological leap. China is also mass-producing Type 05, 2D, and 055 destroyers, capable of anti-ship and anti-aircraft warfare. Their numbers are rising so fast that American analysts call them human wave ships. China destroyer. While the United States builds on average 1 destroyer per year, China is able to launch several per year. And that's only 1 shipyard. But China's strength isn't just visible on the surface. Even more important is what's floating beneath it. Beijing now has more than 70 submarines, 12 of which are nuclear-powered. Among these are Yin-class strategic submarines, able to carry ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads that can reach the United States. China's base is Hainan Island, with underground docks carved into rocks, hidden from satellites. These submarines form the backbone of China's silent deterrence. Where China has an undeniable lead, as we've already indicated, is the pace of construction. It takes 7 to 9 years to build a destroyer in the United States, but China builds new ones in under 3 years. The shipyards in Shanghai and Dalian run non-stop in 3 shifts. What the American industry calls a record is routine for China. Every year, it launches dozens of new vessels, and its production capacity is several times higher than that of the United States. China appears stronger on paper, but the numbers are misleading. Analysts say it's important to consider not just ship numbers, but also displacement, which shows the fleet's true size and strength. American ships are bigger and heavier, so the United States still has the advantage in total tonnage. Their fleet has more large vessels, aircraft carriers, and nuclear submarines. The Chinese Navy, on the other hand, is divided among a number of smaller frigates and corvettes, intended for regional defense. But the gap is closing quickly. If China maintains its current pace, it could surpass the United States in tonnage by decade's end, marking a historic turning point. Since World War II, no country has had a larger fleet than the United States. But now the tables are turning. China isn't just building a navy, it's creating a symbol of a new order. And China recently showcased this symbol to the world openly during a grand military parade in Beijing, which showed that its ambitions go far beyond just the sea. Hypersonic warning, Beijing held its largest military parade since the pandemic. 8 jet aircraft flew over Tiananmen Square, followed by a long column of military equipment. At the front was a new hypersonic missile, which Chinese media said was built to destroy American aircraft carriers. Symbolic? Absolutely. The parade marked the 80th anniversary. The anniversary of World War II's end and victory over Japan saw President Xi Jinping smiling from the tribune. The Chinese leadership was well aware of the message it was sending to the world. Hypersonic weapons are the world's fastest and most difficult missiles to intercept. They travel over 5 times the speed of sound, alter course mid-flight, and strike targets within a few meters. Their aim isn't to bomb cities, but to penetrate what America has long viewed as invulnerable: its carrier group defenses. This particular missile, called Dongfeng 27, has a range of over 2,000 kilometers. That means it could hit an American aircraft carrier before it even approaches Taiwan or the South China Sea. For Washington, it signaled that the Chinese Navy is no longer just defending, it's rewriting the rules. Hypersonic weapons are part of a broader strategy that China calls anti-access area denial, which is the ability to prevent the enemy from entering a certain area. In practice, this means that if there were a war over Taiwan, Chinese missiles could destroy aircraft carriers, bases, and supply systems before American forces could even enter the fight. That's what makes hypersonic missiles a nightmare for the Pentagon. In the United States, discussions began after the demonstration. Media reported on the loss of strategic advantage, and experts warned America had entered a technological deficit. While the United States has relied on its carrier groups for decades as a symbol of global power, China is developing weapons designed specifically to destroy them. It's like a chess game where one player finally touches the opponent's king. The parade in Beijing celebrated the past and showcased the future, and one where China isn't second fiddle anymore. If you're interested in a more detailed analysis of the weapons China showcased at this parade, check out the separate video on our channel. There, we examine each system, from drones to new anti-ship missiles, shifting the Pacific's balance of power. However, this parade also symbolized a deeper message. That power is not born only in laboratories and research centers, but in factories that can produce these weapons in massive quantities. And that's where the real battle begins, an industrial, technological, and strategic industrial battle. During the World War II, a battle took place that changed history. The United States and Japan, two naval powers that clashed in the greatest battle of the oceans. The Japanese had the upper hand at the beginning, better pilots, more experienced crews, and modern torpedoes. But the Americans had what Japan lacked: factories. A steel heart that could churn out new ships faster than the enemy could sink them. While Japan launched 16 large warships in 1942, the United States built 180. This simple equation decided the war: speed, industrial capacity, and an unrelenting flow of new machines. That was the real reason for America's victory. History is starting to repeat itself in this situation today. China is assuming the role once held by the United States. Shipyards are rising on its shores. Unlike anything else in the world, they are huge, fully automated, and integrated into an industrial ecosystem where everything from steel to electronics is made domestically. In Shanghai, Dalian, and Guangzhou, 10,000 workers work 3 shifts. Every month, they launch new destroyers, frigates, or supply ships. American shipyards, by contrast, are struggling to survive. Ships used to be built in dozens of ports, but today, only a few remain. A destroyer takes years to build and costs billions. Even the largest American companies admit they can't keep up with Chinese production. While the United States produces less than 1% of the world's tonnage, China produces more than half. That's more than an economic figure, it's a strategic advantage. More and more American analysts are warning that Washington could find itself in the same position Japan was in back in 1942. Experienced and strong, but tired. It can deliver a powerful blow at first, but can't keep it up. Industry brings power, and China understands this. That's why it's investing in its military and all that sustains it, from steel to semiconductors. Strategists are now asking a question that seemed absurd just a decade ago. Can America win a war of attrition? When production capacity, not the number of nuclear weapon carriers, is crucial, the answer may be unexpectedly uncomfortable. But this war isn't fought just in factories anymore. It's also happening at sea, where Chinese power meets the old world of United States allies. In the Pacific Ocean, another chapter of this struggle unfolds. We're not done yet. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You'll help it reach more people. If you'd like to support my work, you can contribute through gratitude. Thank you. Let's keep going. Battle for the Pacific 2.0. The Pacific is becoming the new hotspot of world power. Where history was made during the World War II, two great powers meet again today, the United States and China. But this time, it's not about the Midway or Guadalcanal Islands, but about the South China Sea, a region with hundreds of reefs, atolls, and artificial islands that China is fortifying. Over the past decade, Beijing has systematically changed the map of the sea. From barren reefs, it has created fully fledged military bases with radar systems, drone hangars, ammunition depots, and airfields for fighter jets. Where fishing boats once anchored, there are now anti-ship missiles and long-range fighter jets. China says these islands are defensive, but anyone familiar with geopolitics knows they're actually a network for regional control. The United States and its allies call this the militarization of the sea. American destroyers and reconnaissance aircraft sail and fly near these islands to show so-called freedom of navigation. It's a game of nerves that takes place almost daily. Warning messages appear on radar screens. The pilots watch each other, and sometimes incidents end just a few hundred meters from a collision. We've already talked about this silent but increasingly dangerous war in a separate video about Chinese artificial islands. There, you could see how Beijing is gradually creating a maritime shield that stretches from the Paracel Islands to the Spratly Islands. And this shield is the key to understanding China's strategy. It's not only about defending Taiwan, but also controlling the Western Pacific. Military analysts call it the first island chain. It's an imaginary boundary that stretches from Japan through Taiwan to the Philippines. If China were able to control this line, it would push the United States hundreds of kilometers away from its coast and at the same time gain access to the open ocean. That would change the balance of power not only in Asia, but on the entire planet. But Washington is aware of this. That's why it's strengthening alliances with Japan, Australia, and the Philippines, and why the Australia-United Kingdom-United States partnership was created, a program under which Australia is to acquire a fleet of nuclear submarines. It's an effort to keep China in check before it manages to take full control of the sea. But the old saying still holds true here. Whoever has more ships has more options. More than ever before, the battle for the Pacific. 2.0 is being fought without a single shot so far, but the tension is rising. Every incident, every maneuver of the fleets could be the spark that sets things off. Toward Taiwan, the Philippines, or nearer to American bases. Taiwan is still the main source of tension. Beijing sees the island as an inseparable part of China, but it is also a key United States partner. American bases in Japan, Guam, and the Philippines form a chain meant to protect Taiwan, but at the same time they make it the focal point of a possible conflict. If war breaks out, the first strikes would happen here. These factors will decide if the war stays regional or becomes global. American concerns are real. In the United States, there is growing talk about losing their lead. In congressional committees, warnings are being voiced that China is no longer just a regional rival, but a real competitor on a level the United States hasn't experienced in decades. Reports from the Pentagon speak of a tiring lead that is quickly running out, and some admirals openly admit that if a war broke out in the Pacific today, America might not start it as the favorite. For decades, aircraft carriers have been a symbol of American power. When they appeared on the horizon, it meant that the United States had the situation under control. In the hypersonic weapons era, this symbol is becoming a vulnerable target. All aircraft carriers are large, slow, and rely on logistical support. The new Chinese missiles can destroy much more, changing not just the oceans, but also strategists' thinking. America is beginning to realize that its hegemony is no longer a given. After decades of being without competition, it suddenly faces an opponent who is technically capable, economically strong, and determined. Most unsettling is that this opponent picked a battlefield once dominated by America. Washington is responding by investing in new weapons, strengthening alliances, and discussing next steps. Strategic deterrence. But at the same time, the sense of uncertainty is also growing. American media turns every new Chinese destroyer, South China Sea base, and missile test into a warning that the world order is collapsing. It's not a panic about war, but a panic over the idea that, for the first time in modern history, America might not be the one setting the pace, but only reacting. Eventually, it will have to react, not lead. In a country that prides itself on global leadership, this may be the biggest shock of all. A new balance of power. The United States-China rivalry has extended well beyond the sea. It also involves technology, industry, and influence that stretches from Africa to the Arctic. Washington sticks to old alliances, while Beijing builds a new network focused on trade, investment, and ports that are becoming strategic hubs. From Djibouti in Africa to Cambodia, from Pakistan to Sri Lanka, a network is emerging that American analysts call the new Maritime Silk Road. Each of these ports has a civilian purpose, but they all have one thing in common: the presence of the Chinese Navy. Ships that once anchored only off their own coast now operate in the Indian Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea, and even the Atlantic. And that's a change the world has yet to fully realize. But Chinese power also has its limits. Despite having the largest fleet, it lacks real major conflict experience. Most Chinese officers haven't fought or commanded a ship under fire. Military exercises may look realistic, but real combat can't be rehearsed. And that's an experience the United States has from the Pacific to the Persian Gulf. Another weakness is energy and logistics. More than 80% of the oil China imports passes through the narrow Malacca Strait. It's just a few dozen kilometers wide, a strip of sea between Malaysia and Indonesia. It's the most vulnerable part of the Chinese economy. If someone were to block it, the Chinese economy would collapse within weeks. That's why Beijing is investing in bypass railways, pipelines, and ports in Myanmar and Pakistan. But for now, the Malacca Strait is the Achilles heel of the empire that dreams of global domination. America is well aware of this weakness. Its fleet has bases in Singapore and the Indian Ocean, precisely where the strait could be closed during a crisis. And that's why the struggle for control over the Indian Ocean may be even more important than the battle for the Pacific. Washington is boosting cooperation with India, Japan, and Australia through the Quad. It is also expanding bases in the Philippines and investing in new defense technologies. But what was once clear dominance is turning into a fragile balance. Both sides want to avoid war, yet prepare as if it's certain. Ultimately, it's about trust, not just weapons. It's about which country can convince the world that its system, political, economic, and moral, is the one that will set the direction. America has allies, experience, and influence. China has patience, momentum, and ambition. And history shows that the latter can sometimes be decisive. So maybe we're witnessing the beginning of a new era right now, a world where no single superpower rules the seas, ending the illusion that the old order can be upheld by force. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate a like and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the others I'm currently working on. You can support my work through gratitude, and if you want to help the video reach more people, click on praise. I appreciate it.